Good morning. You are listening to First Title National Real Estate Radio Show. I am your host, Doug Dennison, and we are broadcasting from beautiful St. Augustine, Florida, the nation's oldest city, at WFOY 1240 AM studios. Through the power of the internet, this program is being streamed worldwide on 1240news.com. The show will also be archived on FirstTitleServices.com, as First Title and Escrow, Inc. are the sponsors of the program. They are a leading national title agency and proud to be working with them. Additionally, the show will be posted on YouTube.com. Our radio show mission statement: to provide an educational experience for listeners in a promotional format for real estate sales across the country. We're going to be talking about real estate, different real estate markets across the country. We've got a lot of topics today. Just a quick aside. One of my guests a couple weeks ago, I talked to him 2 or 3 days ago, and he says, Doug, I was on your show, and I had a international call and from Sweden, and was talking to me, and it's a client that I've done business with before, and he says, Doug, the guy listened to the show live on 1240news.com. Well, that's pretty cool. A guy from Sweden listening to the radio show from St. Augustine, Florida, the power of the internet. That was great. Another nice little deal was one of our guests, let me see, about a month ago, from Sperry Van Ness, Commercial Real Estate Advisors, was on the show as a guest and was talking about medical office buildings, and he's really a specialist. And anyway, one of the local listeners from the St. Augustine area called in to the radio show to get my number. I spoke to him, got him lined up with this, basically this expert in regards to medical office buildings, and lo and behold, they got together. They're actually selling one of the properties and looking for another one, and I'm gonna promote that right now because I think it's a wonderful thing that people are listening and people are getting involved and active, and that I was a small part of that. This is a St. Augustine medical office building with additional land. It's in St. Augustine, Florida. It's on sale for $399,000. 2-unit medical office building, close to historic district. The person to talk to is Jim Morgan. He's the managing director. His number is 904 for Sperry Van Ness. His number is 904-346-3668. That's Jim Morgan. He's a CCIM, and he's managing director. 2 quick stories. I like that. Let's go to our first guest. Good morning. Good morning. You're on the air.
Douglas,
hey.
How are you doing today, sir?
Well, how are you doing, John Lewinger? John, tell us who you are, what you're doing, where you're from, sir.
Well, I want to apologize. You are on a speakerphone in my car, but I am calling you from the middle of the Jicarilla Indian Reservation, which is the largest landowner in New Mexico.
Huh. Wow.
So this is a special treat. And do you know what I see?
What do you see?
Just about nothing. We got a little bit of a desert going here. How are you doing, Doug?
I'm doing fine, and it's wonderful to hear from you, and thank you for calling in. You and I know each other for 20-plus years. I was able to work with you for one of the largest RTC, Resolution Trust Corporation, auctions many years ago, and it was a complete success. I was looking around for the top real estate company in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and found you, and you were just a pleasure to work with. Try to recount some of that the great event that we did together, if you would.
May I tell you about it? In fact, I'm traveling with a young man from Albuquerque to Farmington right now. I was telling him the story. There were 702 properties. They were in 19 different communities in New Mexico. We had it at a Marriott hotel. It started at 6:30 in the evening. We finished at 1:30 in the morning. It was a no-reserve auction. Everything sold. And it was with a guy named Fisher, who it was just a great gig, and the average piece of property sold in less than a minute, and we had 30 seconds of jazz music between each sale.
Well, you're talking...
That was 1992, so I was a little bit younger then.
You and me both, sir. You're talking about Louis Fisher, of course, and Louis is one of the top-notch auctioneers in the country, as you know, and he and I saw you, I think, a couple years ago in Dallas. I asked you to be a speaker for the DS News 5-star event, and of course, as always, you did a fine job.
Well, I'm trying my very best. It's interesting, that auction process, which wasn't very well tested for the United States government and real estate 20 years ago, and it's a little more than 20 years ago.
Yep.
I thought that the way that was put together, and I'm very critical of the government, it actually maximized the amount of money that the government could have possibly gotten out of those assets in a very, very short period of time.
Well, time is money, and every once in a while we have to remind the government, I think, that holding properties is not a good thing, and we've been very, I guess, really pounding on the doors up in Washington because they've got thousands of properties that are not being used and abandoned. And what happens to an abandoned commercial property? What happens to the property? What happens to the area? You know this best because you're like the commercial man in New Mexico.
Well, I don't know if I'd call it government property, but you have this regentrification of various parts of communities. In the mid-1900s, the downtowns were the fibers of the community. And in fact, in Europe, they still are like that. But as years have gone by, and we have suburban malls, and people are moving out of town, and maybe that's turning around a little bit. A lot of the downtowns have really hit upon hard times. Some communities have been able to revive them. In Albuquerque, New Mexico, I've been there 40 years, and the downtown has not done very well for the last 40 years, and it's probably one of the weakest real estate sectors in our market today. And so it's not just government. I mean, every branch of government has excess properties because as we've trimmed down government, we just don't need all this stuff anymore. So It's a real problem. They should be selling it off to either get it refurbished and put into productive use, although in fact many of those properties are, I'll tell you what's happened in New Mexico. We use a lot of those properties to utilize for charter schools.
Really?
So we have been able to reuse them, but there's a bunch of them that need to be sold off.
Well, I agree. So tell me about, you're telling me that downtown Albuquerque is not doing well. So right now, what about the outskirts? What's happening residential-wise? In a summary.
I'll start out with the positive stuff. Our residential market is starting to pick up again.
Good.
Everybody agrees that we've hit bottom. Prices are starting to increase. Home builders are building again. We're starting to, and this was a surprise to me, we are starting to have a scarcity of available lots to build houses. We don't have the financial markets in place to finance the building of these speculative lots, but I think that that'll come back within a year. But our general commercial flavor in New Mexico, our money that runs our state comes out of a lot of government, a lot of medical, and a lot of education.
Okay.
And we are not national headquarters. There are very few national headquarters here, and we do not have a huge manufacturing base. We're an MSA of about 800,000 people. We probably have 35 million square feet of industrial space. If you were to go to El Paso, which is less than 300 miles away, near the border, you'd see 3 or 4 times as much industrial space out here. So we're much slower in. Although I would tell you unemployment in New Mexico is a lot better, but the jobs have been hard to come by.
Mm-hmm.
And we're working on it really hard, but we're not there yet.
Okay. Well, it looks like it's picking up a little bit, so that's good. What do you see for the future? What's happening, in regards to, I guess, everything, if you put it all together, assuming the economy is going to continue, assuming prices are going to continue to rise. What do you see for the commercial sector first in your area?
Well, I'm going to give you a little speech, and then I'll tell you what I think.
Okay.
First thing that I've noticed, and I am in a sort of a semi-retirement mode. I work about 6-7 hours a day. Is that the manner in which not just the real estate business, perhaps everything, including radio, perhaps,
mm-hmm.
the way things operate have changed. The needs of the public have changed. And so it's very hard for me, who really was involved in real estate for 40 years, pretty much doing it the same with, annual modifications. But the differences between what the Internet has done, how people communicate, the needs for office, how you use your offices, it's very hard to predict, at least for me, what's going to happen in the future.
Okay.
I believe that there will always be a need for real estate. I think it's going to be used in a more efficient fashion. I think that the value of real estate has really gone down nationwide, and I think it's going to take years to get back to the values that were there 5 years ago.
Right.
But I would also tell you that those values were somewhat artificially inflated.
Yes, they were.
So I'm very optimistic. It's my retirement, and so I'm hoping everything continues up there, and I do expect it to. But I think at least in New Mexico, we're going to trail by as much as a year and a half.
Okay. You talk about things are changing so fast, so it's hard to predict. Tell me, because you're pretty much a visionary, and I can say that with a straight face.
Thanks, Dad.
Now, I say it with a straight face. You have kind of been leading the edge for many years on different topics. I know you're a leader in real estate with the New Mexico Real Estate Association and the boards and all that kind of stuff. How do you think that real estate has changed? And again, your listeners right now are real estate people, they're bankruptcy attorneys, real estate media, and the general public. Tell us what you think and how it's changed.
My dream of an office 40 years ago was something about the size of a double-car garage with a big desk, big conference room, my own bathroom. I never achieved any of that, by the way. I now have an office that I would say is it's substantial. It's probably 15 by 15.
Okay.
And it is my personal plan to move into a cubicle that will be, maybe 10 by 12, that everything that I need will be right in front of me. It'll all be automated. And my goal is to become extraordinarily proficient through the utilization of electronics. And I live with my iPad, and I am a little bit of a dinosaur, but I will really become a dinosaur if I don't embrace all of that.
Yep.
And I think where my company needed 16,000 feet through the 2000s, I think that it's going to need 12,000 feet, be more efficient, and the rents are going to be lower. And I'm going to need to do that to make my real estate company flourish again.
How do you deal with the fact that the internet has changed everything, in that many of buyers and many of sellers are really doing a lot of the searching themselves before they pick up a phone and actually interact with a professional real estate person? How do you deal with that?
Well, I think that's good.
Okay.
When people call us, they already have a sense of what they want, and then we need to guide them to various solutions to their problems. But our whole prospecting technique has changed, and a lot of it is very passive in the development and the distribution of really good information. And so we have people contacting us more often than we used to in the past. I don't personally like it because I always thought that the personal communication was where the fun was.
Right.
But that's not the way people in their 30s and 40s are functioning today.
And the people that are in the 20s are even further removed from the person to person. They're texting, they're emailing, they're tweeting. How do you figure that will be a big change and continue to be a big change, and how do you teach your associates to embrace it?
Well, the average age of our associate has gone down, which is a good thing.
Yep.
And most of the people we interact with already have a firm understanding of all of these things. If you went to our website, which we're now a Colliers International company,
yep.
But if you went to our website, you'd see we can tweet, we can face, we can do anything you need. We can even cook. Okay, Douglas. I'm on my way to Farmington.
All right.
You got me pulled over the Hickory Reservation. I got to go to work.
I understand. Tell us how to get a hold of you, sir.
My name is John Lewinger, and I'm a real estate person. I just finished an 8-year stint as vice chairman of the First National Bank of Santa Fe, on a board of a title company. So if there's anything I can help you with in any place in the state of New Mexico, southern Colorado, or northern Texas, I'm in. John Lewinger, 505-880-7000. J. Lewinger, Lewinger, @nmrea.com.
Hey, thank you so much, John. It's a pleasure to talk to you again. You have a wonderful weekend. Looking forward to next week. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. Thank you.